how did our world come into being? Is it a mere coincidence, or was it intentionally designed? Is our reality unique, or one of an infinite number? And when will the world come to an end? Let's explore these profound questions from the perspectives of religion, ancient cultures, and science, seeking answers through their similarities and differences. Surprisingly, there may be more similarities than one might expect. In the Bible, the process of world creation is described in Genesis, the very first book and chapter. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was a formless void, and darkness covered the face of the deep, while a wind from God swept over the face of the waters. This passage does not refer to the sky and land, which are formed later on the third day, but rather to the separation between the material and non-material realms, as the term heavens is used in the Bible to refer to the paradise eternal realm. The wind of God, or in some translations, Spirit of God, hovered over the waters. Could this be akin to the ocean of forms and entities seen in the ancient Egyptian concept? A very similar ocean is also mentioned in the Vedas as the source of world manifestation, which we will explore later. In this context, the Bible also presents the first mention of the Holy Spirit, which thus existed before the revelation of matter. The creation of light followed. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. Again, this reflects a strong connection to ancient Egyptian belief, where light existed before the revelation of forms and entities. Similarly, science also holds that light was the first to occur. It bridges ancient wisdom with contemporary knowledge. The idea that light is a precursor to the formation of physical entities is a profound observation, both in religious and scientific contexts. Also, we see that manifestation occurs through speech. God brings things into existence by naming them. Various entities are created this way: light, firmament, dry land, vegetation, as well as living creatures. It is the same principle as the ancient Egyptian concept describes. Actually, this mirrors many religious concepts where divine speech initiates creation. For example, the famous magical phrase abracadabra is said to derive from the Hebrew phrase abracadabri, meaning "I create as I speak," suggesting that speech can magically bring forth new realities. If this is indeed its origin, it aligns with the Kabbalistic belief that the words and letters of the Hebrew alphabet hold creative power. The Old Church Slavonic alphabet operates on a similar principle, where each letter carries a specific semantic meaning, and words are formed by combining these meanings. This concept is echoed in the Talmud's description of Bezalel, the master builder of the sanctuary, which states that Bezalel knew how to combine the letters through which heaven and earth were created. Bezalel's creative prowess stemmed from his understanding of how God used words and letters to create the world. Getting back to the Bible, God created the first level of time by creating the first day. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening and there was morning the first day. This passage marks the first mention of time, which can be interpreted as the inception of time as a concept. This idea resonates with all other traditions, Vedic, ancient Egyptian, and scientific, which suggests that time did not exist at the 0 point before creation. The Vedas further elaborate on this by describing different states of time at Brahma's level and the planetary level, while also emphasizing that the realm of the Supreme God exists beyond time. For a detailed analysis of time and how it relates to different material levels, you can watch my video devoted to time specifically, linked in the description. On the second day, God established the levels of the material world. And God said, "Let there be a dome in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters." So God made the dome, and separated the waters that were under the dome from the waters that were above the dome. And it was so. God called the dome sky, and there was evening, and there was morning, the second day. Here, we see that matter was divided into 3 levels. In the Vedas, there are also exactly 3 levels of planets, indicating a correlation and similarity in the world structures described in these sacred texts. This division might reference multiple levels of existence, akin to the 7 skies idea, common for many religions as well. While science does not typically address levels of the universe in this way, it does entertain hypotheses, such as the multiverse, which posits multiple universes that could be considered as existing on different levels. On the 3rd day, land and oceans were created. And God said, "Let the waters under the sky be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the waters that were gathered together he called seas. And God saw that it was good. We can read this as the creation of elements of nature, such as water, ground, and sky. Then, forms of life, starting with plants, were brought into existence. Then God said, "Let the earth put forth vegetation." The earth brought forth vegetation, and God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the 3rd day. The distinct sequence of forms of life began with plants, followed by sea creatures and birds on the 5th day, then land animals, and culminated with the creation of humankind on the 6th day. That sequence echoes a progression in the evolutionary development of species. There is also a parallel to the Vedic life creation, where stages of consciousness are also involved, which will be explored further later on. However, the biblical and Vedic narrative emphasizes the dominion of humankind over other forms of life, a theme deeply embedded in religious concepts. Notably, all acts of creation in Genesis chapter 1 follow a consistent pattern. God commanded, creation occurred, and God saw that it was good. This suggests a deliberate and orderly process of creation existed. On the 4th day, another level of time was created with the sun and moon repeating cycles. And God said, "Let there be lights in the dome of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years." And God saw that it was good, and there was evening and there was morning, the 4th day. The 4th day introduces the concept of time dilation, with the creation of days and nights occurring within a single day of a higher level. This concept has parallels with the time dilation described in the Vedas. I discuss this effect in more detail in my video about time, which you can find linked in the description. On the 5th day, sea creatures and birds were created. On the 6th, ground creatures first, and then mankind. Then God said, "Let us make humankind in our image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the wild animals of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth." So God created humankind in his image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female, he created them. What's particularly interesting about the creation of humankind is that it's not explicitly stated that mankind was created by both God and the Holy Spirit together. The text simply uses the word us. This can be connected to the Vedas, where Brahma, analogous to the Holy Spirit, is regarded as the creator of human beings. We also read here that God created male and female, but it doesn't state that Adam and Eve were the ones created at that moment. We learn about them later in Genesis chapter 2, after all the world creations, when Jehovah God appears in the text creating Adam and Eve. God blessed them. God said, "See, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food." Specifically, God initially mentions only plants as food for people. The Bible specifically states that the consumption of meat was permitted only after the flood, often interpreted as a response to humanity's degraded nature. God saw everything that he had made, and indeed, it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. After each creation, God repeatedly stated that his creation was good, and on the sixth day, very good. Given the compressed form of Genesis chapter 1, and that every word in this crucial account of creation is significant, the use of good might not simply reflect God's satisfaction. Rather, it can emphasize that God alone has the authority to judge the worth and quality of everything in the world he created. It seems that some details may be missing between Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2, or that they represent two distinct creation narratives woven into a single text. There is no guarantee that these accounts describe the creation of the same world, one as the material universe and the other as the specific environment for Adam and Eve. While it is commonly assumed that Adam and Eve were created during the initial creation of the world, the Bible does not explicitly state this. This opens the possibility for a different interpretation, that Adam and Eve could have been part of a later generation of humankind, possibly the first of a new type, rather than the very first humans overall. Notably, the Bible does not explicitly mention the end of the world. The book of Revelation speaks of Judgment Day, which is not the end of the world's existence. Thus, the Bible does not present a cyclical view of the world's manifestation and dissolution. While certainly states the world was created intentionally and by specific design, but not as a random variation of possibilities. Ultimately, many sources seem to approximate similar ideas. An ocean of unrevealed matter, a singularity from which everything emerged, light as the first element, development of life on the earth, multiple levels of existence, a cyclical universe. As science advances, the language used to describe these concepts seems to be converging. What is the probability that these ideas originate from a single source? My answer is the probability of God. I hope you enjoyed this video and discovered some new and captivating ideas today. I am deeply grateful to everyone who supports me. If you haven't yet and would like to, please support me on Patreon using the link below or by using the Super Thanks button on YouTube. Thank you for every like and subscription. See you in my next video.